I'm AC. It's my friend Kurt. Let's talk youth ministry.
Welcome back.
It's been a long time.
It's not been a long time since we saw each other. We see each other all the time.
That's true.
Watching football together, playing fantasy football together.
Fantasy football. We both won. I won too.
It's the only time. Week 1. It's the only time all year I'll be in first place. 1-0. I won't see 2-0.
Russell Westbrook came in huge for me.
You know who came in huge for me? The one player that I told myself as a Broncos fan, I will get this player no matter what.
Tebow.
Hey, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I know.
Demaryius, not Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius, oh gosh. The tight end. Demaryius Jones?
Maybe.
Whatever. They're tight end. The Broncos tight end. He got me
His first name's Demaryius.
His first name's
Jones
Demaryius.
Could possibly be his last name. Yeah.
Hey, you said it, not me. But he got me 3 touchdowns and 110 yards.
Oh, wow.
He got me like 27 points.
Holy smokes.
I know.
No wonder you won. That'll never happen again.
Okay, so we've taken the whole summer off
from
Let's Talk Youth Ministry, and we've taken a good portion of the fall off. Because here we are in the 3rd week of September, or whatever it is, and we're just now getting back to our very first sort of weekly video blog here on More Than Dodgeball.
We've been kind of trying to figure things out.
And we still haven't. We're still sitting in the same chairs.
I kind of like this. I still don't get this, but it's like the coolest thing ever.
You don't know the story behind this?
No. How long is it? Because we only have 20 minutes.
Here's the story. This dresser, I grew up very poor. You know that. This dresser was in my mom and dad's closet all my life growing up. I don't know where they got it. It was used, and it was in their closet, and it just had like my dad's junk and his socks and his ties, and it was like comfort food for me as a kid, all growing up.
Just knowing
for some reason, knowing this was there. And my mom passed away, and then a couple years later, my dad passed away, and there was nothing to inherit. Nothing to inherit. And my brother and I were going through their stuff, and I said to my brother, dude, the only thing I want that dresser. And so this is my inheritance.
Wow. And then you found $1 million at the bottom.
In a sock. $1 million was rolled up in a sock.
Some gold coins.
Yeah. So that's the story behind it.
That's awesome, dude.
So this will be my children's only inheritance.
Yeah.
Cole and Kayla will have to fight over this.
That's
all I'm going to have when I die.
You have to keep it up.
Well, no. What do you mean by keep it up?
You have to keep it up.
No, that's the beauty. It's never been. That's
the
original paint. Yeah,
I forgot.
It will last forever, dude.
Yeah. This is made when
zombie apocalypse comes through.
This is when things were made to last.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Trash.
All right. Now you know the story.
Yeah.
Now you know the story.
I appreciate it just that much.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's got some cool history to it.
Perfect.
Okay, so here's our topic.
Yes.
Now that we are 3 weeks into the school year, some people in the Youth Worker Nation, the Youth Ministry Nation, are a month and a half into the school year, depending on what part of the country, which means all of us, we are about 2 weeks away. They are, many of them, already into the new small group season.
Yeah.
That's assuming they took the summer off. Many people don't. We take the summer off of small groups. Lots of youth groups do. So today, AC, because you're one of the small group gurus at Saddleback Church, here's what I want us to talk about. I'm going to throw the topics out there.
Yeah.
You're going to go to town, and then I'll just clean up whatever mess you
make.
You know, I'll correct whatever you say that's not accurate.
You'll say what's true.
Okay, so topic number 1 is they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Because the small group season is just launched.
Yeah.
But eventually, whether it's a month from now or 2 months from now, we kind of hit that first of a few small group lulls.
Yeah.
You know, the initial momentum of the launch of the new school year kind of dies. Yeah. So one would be just what are 2 or 3 tips to rebuild and re-energize and kind of continue your small group momentum and energy throughout the whole school year.
Yeah.
Topic number 1.
Okay.
Topic number 2. In all of our youth ministry discussion about ministry to parents and parent ministry and family ministry, how do small groups help us in our efforts to minister to mom and dad? Or do they even need to?
Yeah.
So what does that look like?
Yeah.
How do we leverage small groups to help minister to parents? Should they not play a part in our ministry to parents? Should our ministry to parents be a completely separate thing that doesn't infiltrate any area of our ministry to students?
Yeah.
Or is small groups an opportunity for that to happen or not? Yeah. Does that make sense? Very long
totally.
question. All right. Totally. So, momentum, energy. in small groups over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Here's when the first lull comes.
Yeah.
About a month before, like the end of heading into the holidays.
Yeah.
Right. The end of October is when the first lull comes because everybody starts.
And you're taking breaks.
So how do we keep that momentum going?
Yeah. Well, I think.
No. Let me clean that up. Wrong.
Yes.
I was just joking.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're back. We're back. Okay. I think that's a great question because obviously we've been doing this for a long time, and ours is decentralized small groups. So I would say the probability of you hitting that low could be, range very differently, even depending on leaders because they're not all centralized. But I think that's kind of like where it all ends and begins is with your leaders. That slump that you have usually can come for your leaders at different times. I mean, for us, it's like it could be the fact that this is something that we do every single year.
So you're saying the slump usually isn't student driven.
No,
they're not in a slump.
Yeah,
the leaders start.
It's leader driven. Okay. And if you think about it, leaders are doing way more than just meeting with students. I mean, some have full-time jobs, full-time families,
right?
And students really follow the lead of the leader. And so I think if you think about it, your leaders are holding that pulse. Your leader is driving that momentum, and when there's a dip for them, when there's some discouragement for them, disencouragement.
I think it's the same thing.
I'm making words up. I'm on my feet. But for them, those moments of discouragement brings that low. And so I think one tip could be that we do is, continue to grow leaders, continue to pour into them, continue not just in a way where they can become better leaders, but also they can become better Christ followers as they continue in ministry, because it literally goes hand in hand. They're going to serve out of what is already in them, and for the most of them, they're pouring out week after week after week. And so it doesn't mean we're policing people, but it does mean that we're thinking about it. Hey, if they're pouring out, let's be proactive and help them replenish and get filled up.
And one of the things I've learned over the years is sometimes we put too big of an emphasis, I think, on training our leaders, which is really interesting because on one hand, it's impossible to overtrain youth leaders because there's just so much to youth ministry. Totally. But sometimes we put such an emphasis on training leaders that we forget about just loving on them and encouraging them. Yeah. And what I've learned, especially with small group leaders, because small groups are the high maintenance part of youth ministry, right?
Yeah. A lot of moving parts.
Yep. As far as I know, and maybe it's happened and I don't know, but as far as I know, we have never ever lost a small group leader for lack of training.
No.
We have lost small group leaders because they're disencouraged.
Yeah.
Discouraged.
Disencouraged.
Right? They're not getting enough encouragement from us. They don't feel like we're in their corner. Yeah. We're not sending them a thank you card. We're not recognizing it's their anniversary. They feel like, man, nobody calls me to check in and see how I'm doing. They're not asking, nobody's calling me to train me.
Yeah.
They're saying no one's calling me to check in and just ask how things are going.
That would literally be my second point. Would be celebrate with them.
Gotcha.
Like, be on that end of it. Training and growth. You definitely need that because on both ends, your youth group needs to always be progressing because students are learning more. They're diving deeper into the Word. Life is changing rapidly for them. But if you're not celebrating what God is doing, you can easily become so focused on that part that burnout is imminent. So take times to celebrate with your leaders. We do during the Christmas time, we take time out and we go to the movies, we sit, we eat, and then we go to the movies, and we do like buffet. And there's no okay, we all got to go to the movie at 7. It's just a
little Christmas party.
It's just a Christmas party to celebrate, sit down, have fun. Even when we meet during the month, we want to have a time where we can tell stories. How's the group going? Who's who's had, some major thing in their life that you saw God just move.
Right.
That energizes leaders. That opened their eyes, and they're like, pumped, ready to get back in it the next week. So that's a very important.
And we
part.
Purposely, when we're together with our small group leaders, we're not afraid of horror stories. We're not afraid of people who need prayer, but we spend way more time listening to success stories and celebrations, because that puts wind in people's sails. And even the guy who's struggling, when he hears a success story, it usually serves to let him go, okay, I can do this. If that dummy can get a success story, I can get.
If he can get something out of that situation, I'm good. No, that's a huge. I mean, you don't know how it changes the continence of your leaders, the morale, the aura, whatever word you want to use.
So if you haven't, maybe you have a newsletter that you send out, include a small group testimony of something awesome that happened in small group. Anytime you do train your leaders, share a success story, celebrate. A kid came to Christ, celebrate it. A kid's mom and dad reconciled, celebrate it. The squirrely kid who never listens actually didn't show up for life group one week, celebrate it, right? I mean, just look for ways to celebrate. Okay, so encourage them, celebrate with them. You have another one, or is that?
One more.
Okay.
One more is we do like a large group rally time. And this happens maybe twice out of our complete season, because there's times we don't have it. So actually 3 times. We'll meet as a total group. So our church being decentralized groups, we bring everybody back to...
Every small group.
Every small group back to our central location where we have our large group time. And we play a game. We just have a great time. We laugh. We watch stupid YouTube videos, the most stupidest YouTube video we can find. We laugh, and everybody can see, we're not the only group here. There's hundreds of us in the same boat. And I think you mentioned, which I thought was great, even if you are centralized and you break up that night, have a fun night. Have a night where you can even just re-engage with the students as a whole, because there are some tough stories and tough situations and stuff going on in each individual group. And sometimes you need to just come back together and let everybody know we are here. We're together in this.
We're one big group.
We're one big group. We love each other. And sometimes you just need to take a break.
And I do think that's a better strategy, or a more important strategy for youth groups who their small groups are decentralized in homes. In our small group, at our midweek, well, we have 2 midweeks. We have a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night and a few other nights where those small groups, they never see each other, right? And in our setting, those kids come to one of 4 different weekend large group services. So for us to bring our small groups together once a quarter is a chance for some kids who never, ever, ever even see each other ever at church or in small group. They don't even know they exist. Oh, look at us. We're all together. It gives the leaders a break. It gives us a chance to, I've seen, we've done funny YouTube videos. We've also done worship nights. We've done testimony nights. We just make it whatever we want to make it to sort of, hey, we're all separate. Now let's all come together once a quarter to celebrate. And in a youth group setting where they're centralized to start with, I still think it's good once in a while to say, hey, normally we sing a few songs and break out all over the church building for small groups. Once a quarter, we don't break out. We just stay together and we do something different, and it gives the leaders that breathing space. It breaks the monotony of the same old routine all the time, all the time. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, it's game changer for our life.
It is a game changer.
Far.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Just a few ways to build momentum. Talk to me about parents. How do we utilize small groups to help us minister to parents and families, or should we not? Should a small group be completely separate because it has to be a sanctuary, a refuge for the kids?
For the kids. That's a great way to put it. A refuge for the kids, that sometimes the parents don't meet that requirement in that type of circle. I think we always see parents in 2 ways. One, how do we utilize them in the same ministry that their kids are a part of?
Like, how can they serve?
How can they serve? How can they, be there and not have their kids like, why are you here? So, I mean, and we have some parents that want to serve. And so I see we have that situation, and then we also have the situation of how do we make sure that what's going on in life group is going on at home? How do we make sure the parents are aware of what the kids are learning? And how do we kind of like create something where the kids aren't just making us primary, but we're that support? I think that's definitely, it's up to your, it's, every ministry is different in that sense.
Well, that's an interesting point, dude. I never thought of it until you just said it. So I'm just inventing stuff as we talk. But one of the biggest concerns for youth ministry, we didn't used to worry about this. Yeah. We worry about it now, but we didn't used to worry about whether or not we replace mom and dad. In fact, youth ministry, we existed to kind of replace mom and dad. Hey, you guys don't know what you're doing with your teenagers. Trust us. We're going to do cool stuff with them.
Drop them off at the corner.
Yeah, and we've recognized that was a mistake. And so now we're saying, how do we... But what's interesting is small groups have a way bigger tendency to take over the discipleship process and the mentoring and the relational depth from mom and dad.
No, totally.
The big weekend program, the big fun and games, or the worship service with some youth pastor preaching, that doesn't threaten mom and dad.
Yeah, where they can bring friends.
It's not intimate. It's an event. I just never thought of the fact that our great, for most youth ministries, we would say the best part of our ministry is our small groups. Yeah. Because that's where life change happens. That's where we get to know kids. But it's also where we can jeopardize the mom and dad role in our small group structure more than anywhere else in our ministry.
Yeah.
And I think, so that's a big problem. Fix it. We got 2 minutes. Fix it.
Well, I think that's where we look at our role as support in primary and not being primary. If I look at my role as primary, I'm going to say, okay, I need to figure out how to get these kids from A to B. Yeah. That's it. If I look at my role as support, I'm thinking, okay, how do we come alongside parents who should already be imparting in their kids godly principles? How do we help enhance that? Yeah. How do we come on that other side and catch what they're not getting? How do we become that village that people talk about that it takes to raise kids? Yeah. And so I think that's where you have to start. I think every church is different, and so every youth group size is different, and you can't just apply and apply every principle or whatever. You have to really think about your youth group. You have to think about your parents. Like for us, we are very proactive now in thinking that way and even going after parents. But I can remember our parents weren't always like that. Right. My first small group, I didn't meet some of my parents until senior year. Yeah.
They had no interest.
They didn't. And that said it quite a bit, I think, more on the lines that they just trusted us. Right. Of course, and they had kids come through before, so it was just the norm. But is that a good thing?
Yeah. Well, it can't be.
It can't be a good thing if you haven't met me and I'm pouring into your kids spiritually. So, so I think you begin to think along those lines. How do we support parents? What does that look like? Does that look like maybe a teacher-parent, leader-parent conference or something like that, where you get to meet with the parents, and it's a part of life groups. It's not an option.
Could you imagine if one night halfway through the life group year you said to your students in your small group, hey, next week life group is happening, but you don't get to come. Send your parents. and you did life group with their parents.
Wow, yeah.
Dude, write that down.
I need to write that down.
Write that down. That's I mean, it's just stuff like that where you go, how do we just in a kind of natural, relationally driven way village up with mom and dad?
Yeah. That's a great idea, dude.
Yeah. As opposed to, because we don't do it on purpose. I think the ship has sailed. None of us would say it's a good thing for you not to meet the parents. Yeah. Right? That ship has sailed. We know that. Yeah. But we still inadvertently do complete, deep ministry with teenagers with mom and dad not knowing hardly anything about it. And there's that fine line. They don't need to know everything, and they don't want to know everything. Yeah. And our role, to a large degree, is to create a safe haven and a refuge for kids to come.
That support.
Right? It's a support. Not every kid has that at home. Not every Christian family is providing that.
Totally.
And there's parents who are great parents and they want to provide it, and their kids are just kind of going through a tool time and they don't want it. They're not responding to mom and dad's efforts, right?
And so I would say you would be a fool not to think that you need a lot. You need a youth group. I need a youth group. I need the church to care about the spiritual development of my children, because I'm not going to catch everything. I'm not going to, I'm not going to catch all the things, because I have time to think about them in a dad role,
right?
In a dad spiritual role, but not in a developmental, all the nuances. We're thinking about, hey, your kids are here. They're worrying about this. They're thinking about this. They're in junior year. These are the issues. I need somebody telling me that so that I can remind me of that, because I'm thinking about bills. I'm thinking about, they got to go to college someday. I got to go golf. I mean, I got a lot going on, so I need that support. It's you'd be a fool to say, no, they just need to be with me because I can supply everything. And I think if we think that way, if we as youth leaders think, hey, we need to be support to these parents, then we start thinking of ideas like that to come up and say, hey, we're going to come alongside parents. We're going to keep them in the loop. And to some degree, we're going to hold them accountable to being primary. I mean, if we believe that that's where God has placed them in their life spiritually,
we need to reinforce
it.
At every opportunity.
And it doesn't mean you're like the police.
So, small group season off and running. We got to wrap it up. Encourage your leaders. Celebrate with your leaders. And what was the other one?
And large group rally.
Yeah. That helps keep momentum.
Yeah.
And then parents need to be considered in our small group strategy.
Yeah.
Small groups are a great way to leverage our desire to minister to mom and dad and to reinforce their role in their kids' lives.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing that, if we're not thinking about that, the reality is something as powerful and awesome as small groups can become maybe the biggest violator of our desire to empower parents and to encourage parents.
Dude, that's awesome.
Hey guys, we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Peace.